Hello, everyone, and welcome to another JordanCon interview. I have with me today Sara T. Bond, who is a science fiction and fantasy author who, by her own admission, is a unapologetic extrovert. And honestly, I just want to read this little part of your bio because I love pretty much the entire thing. So I want to read it real quick. So after dabbling in careers in academia and nonprofit research, politics, and a short but lucrative job in high-end fashion, she released her debut novel, Gravity's Heir, a space opera, in 2020. She now lives in Seattle with her husband and two children who moonlight as advanced agents of chaos. On her website, she also does book reviews and cocktail pairings in a blog series. I just love that little, they act as agents of chaos. That's great.
If you saw the state of my house after they wake up, it's pretty intense. Tornadoes have created less damage.
Chaos tornadoes flying through your house. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
So, so a short but lucrative job in high-end fashion. So, like, am I going to be able to go to like department stores and see Bond next to like, Gucci and Couture or anything like that?
Well, funny enough, it was Gucci I worked for.
Ooh, fancy.
I actually worked in sales with Gucci. I was a sales agent, and we actually got paid on commission.
Ooh,
So we made a solid salary. That
nice.
was more than I was making at my office job, and then got paid commission on top of that. And as an unapologetic extrovert, I'm pretty good at sales.
I can
And
imagine.
I made a lot of money.
That's awesome. That's really cool. I didn't for those watching. I wasn't aware of the Gucci thing prior to that. I just thought that was funny, but cool.
It
That's
was
awesome.
great. I have probably $10,000 worth of shoes that I can no
Whew.
longer fit into.
Oh, that
When you have
sucks.
kids, your feet get bigger. So
Oh,
I have a whole bunch of 7.5s that I can't even wear.
oh my God, that sucks so bad because I'm sure they're super nice.
Oh, they're so pretty.
Oh God,
You just take them out of the box
I
and
just
look at
look at
them.
them like one day maybe.
Do they shrink feet?
Yeah.
Is that an option?
So so you own a bunch of shoes and you worked in the industry. I mean, not on like the creative side of it, but is fashion something that you were interested in or into at a younger age or at any time, really?
Really, I mean, I kind of just wore what my mom bought me for most of my childhood, and it was whatever. It was comfortable. I was more involved in the reading and
Yeah.
hiding in the treehouse. But I guess in college, I started using fashion to express myself and
Okay.
going to thrift stores and finding good deals at like Ross and stuff because I was broke and
Yeah.
that's all I could afford.
I feel you.
But that's actually kind of what got me the job at Gucci because I went in this really cute black blazer and skinny jeans and these cute heels. And the manager said, "Where did you get those shoes?" I said, "Target."
Target. It's like what? You make them
He
look
was
like you
impressed.
bought them from Gucci.
Right.
That's really cool. That's really cool. So you were more into like reading and stuff. So science fiction, fantasy. Were you also into like any kind of gaming, books, collecting, like anything like that also, or
I didn't have many gaming options as a kid. I mean, my parents aren't into science fiction and fantasy, although my mom did introduce me to like the Wizard of Oz series. One of my favorite books growing up was The Princess and the Goblin, which I just read to my 7-year-old.
oh
It's a real classic old fantasy.
yeah,
But I didn't really start getting into that until college either, when I started exploring what
yeah,
I wanted on my own. I
yeah.
was a big Buffy Angel fan in high school.
Me too.
That was my gateway, and Star Wars.
Yep. I mean, for better or worse, I still love Star Wars. I really have enjoyed everything that's come out recently. It has its problems like everything, but there's been some really fun nuggets of creativity in even the new movies, but especially the cartoons. Like the writing
Actually,
in.
haven't seen the cartoons.
Oh man,
But I was first in line for the prequels when they came out
me too.
at midnight. I was part of that like scene
Yep.
in costume,
All
seeing it, and then we all saw Phantom Menace, and we're going, okay,
right. Okay. All right. I gotta ask, what costume?
oh Leia.
Ah, okay. Did you do? I mean, you have the
Hair
hair
buns
for
and
it.
everything.
I was gonna say
Mhm.
you have the hair for it to do the buns, the Danishes. No,
Yeah, brilliant.
that's awesome. That's really cool. No, I would 100% suggest the cartoons. I mean, watch them with your kids. I don't have kids, but I still love them. But the writing is just fantastic. Clone Wars. It's a little shaky in the beginning, but it really fills out later. And the most recent stuff has been great. Rebels. There are even more like for a younger audience. There's some Disney Plus. No, there's a Disney Kids channel. I don't remember what it is, but there's some really good stuff there. That's all canon now with Star Wars. That's the great thing that Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni are doing with these new shows on Disney Plus is they're tying all of these different universes in Star Wars together. So I would definitely
I
suggest it.
love it.
I would definitely
I've
suggest
I've
it.
loved The Mandalorian, and as soon as I finish this book I'm working on, I can watch Boba Fett. That's my reward. I'm not allowed to touch it until I finish this book
That's
because I'm on
smart.
deadline.
Smart. Very smart. Well, so back into your writing. Before we jump into your book, one of my favorite parts of your bio there was a cocktail pairing blog series for your book and your book reviews. So tell me a little bit about that. I mean, who doesn't love to drink? Unless you can't for whatever reason. But how did that get started? Is that just something that you're fun and interested in, or is there like a background there? Did you bartend in your college days too?
I actually did not. I was a
Okay.
waitress for a little bit, but when my husband and I moved into our first house, we were actually renting from friends of ours who had an entire bar in their basement.
Oh, dangerous.
And this bar put most of the high-end, swanky cocktail bars to shame. They had something like 70 different kinds of bitters
Ooh, that's awesome.
alone. And
Wow.
so part of the thing we did to hang out was we just go through, find a bottle of something that was strange, and
Yeah,
try and make a cocktail out of it.
that's so cool. So, do you have like a go-to cocktail that you like, or are you more just
Ooh,
of whatever
it
tastes good?
really depends on the circumstance. If I'm like out having fun
Hmm.
and with friends, a French 75,
Okay.
which is gin, simple, and Prosecco,
Okay. That sounds
or
tasty.
champagne if you've got it, but
Yeah.
any bubbles will work. Um, but if I'm at home and I'm reading and I just want something to sip on, a Negroni.
Okay. All right.
I like the bitter, sippable drinks.
I know I'm definitely a more bitter, sour flavor person as well. So
Are you a
maybe
Scotch drinker at all, or?
yes, I do. I do drink Scotch and whiskey. I like whiskey, but I also like if I'm out. That's more of like a sipping drink. If I'm out, I like the the tasty fruity drinks.
Do you?
Screwdrivers. Yep. No, I love
I
fruit
can't
based
do the
stuff.
sugar. It
But
gives me a headache.
it's gotta be light. It's gotta be easy on the sugar. It's gotta be easy. Like when they put like lots and lots of syrup in. Nah, I can't do that. It's mostly fruit juices, like actual fruit juices mixed. That's what I like.
Natural sugars. Yeah,
Yes.
I order a mezcal margarita at my favorite bar, and I'm just like, no triple sec. Do not add any
Yeah.
extra
Nope.
sugar. You
Nope.
can put a little bit of agave and lime in there, but no,
Yeah.
I want to taste the tequila.
Yeah. Exactly. I like limes and lemons and stuff like that in there. Like you said, the natural sugars. But the triple sec is it's just too much for me. For me, it hurts my teeth. I can feel
Wow.
it. So,
It's from the back of your mouth, and you're just like, oh,
a hundred
nope.
percent.
Give me a Tom Collins.
So, you refer to Gravity's Air as a space opera, or at least I did when I read your bio there. What makes a space opera? Like what is it that makes Gravity's Air a space opera, or just anything?
Well, I like to think of space opera as like the science fiction version of epic fantasy. So it's got big
That's the
world
best way I've ever
building.
heard anyone describe that.
Yay. Yeah, it's more about large communities and political intrigue and these big world spanning conflicts, usually centered around a character and a personal arc. But you need to have the big epic scale stuff like Star Wars,
Mhm.
like Battlestar Galactica is a great example of space opera.
I love Battlestar. I love.
So good.
Yeah.
But you're concentrating on these small characters and their interpersonal conflicts on the scale while they're dealing with these huge apocalyptic political intrigue. Who's a spy? Who's not?
Who's the
Uh,
Cylon?
the world's ending. The world's already ended. How do we survive after the fact? And that's where I see space opera fitting in.
So how does Gravity's Air sit in that?
Well, Gravity's Air spans multiple planets and moons that are all on the edge of political collapse.
Is this
There's war.
is this like a different galaxy, or is it our own galaxy?
Oh, it's definitely different.
Okay.
It involves inhabitable moons around gas giants, and I wanted to recreate basically World War One in space, and and so it's these characters are on the edge of political collapse.
All right.
This moon has just recently gotten their independence from their planet, and there's a whole bunch of control. Oh, excuse me. The capitalist system is holding down the people on the moon, and
Sounds
and
about
the people
right.
on the moon are sick of it.
I can get behind that. So you say it's orbiting a gas giant. Did you have to do any kind of, I mean, are you a physicist or an astrophysicist in your spare time, or did you have to do like tons of research to get like the science and stuff and how these things work amongst
Politics? So I was much more interested in the political systems behind
Okay.
it. But I do have friends that are in physics, and
Okay.
so when I went through, okay, how would this moon interact with this planet?
Yeah.
And the early stages of my book, I actually came up with the orbital mechanics of this and had a physicist verify all of it.
That's so cool.
And none of it made it into the book. I spent months figuring out, okay, exactly what size is this planet so we have the right kind of gravity for the space system, the flight system I want to create to work. And I worked it out with this physicist, and I have all the numbers for it, and none of it made it into the book.
I'm sure your Google search history from around that time was interesting too.
Oh yeah, your murder mystery. People, you're worried the FBI is watching you because you're coming up with how do I dispose of a body, and
Yeah,
mine's
yeah.
like, is she going to space?
Yeah, like is she building a rocket in her backyard? That's pretty cool. So you mentioned also that you were working on a book right now. So what are you working on right now?
I am. I just signed a contract for a 5-book series
Oh man.
with Falstaff Books, and
Yeah.
I am working on an urban fantasy.
Ooh, that's
So
so cool. I love urban fantasy too.
it's my go-to pleasure. It's like during the pandemic that I was reading a lot of urban fantasy, and I'm like, I really want to write one of my own.
Yeah, that's
And so I
awesome.
just kind of spewed one out, got to the end, and forgot about it. I was like, it was just writing for me, and
Yeah.
I started working on something else. And a couple months ago, I was talking to a friend of mine at Falstaff Books, John Hartness, amazing man,
Love John.
and I mentioned he wrote this urban fantasy, and he goes, "Oh, really?" I was like, "Oh no,
Urban
oh no, I know
fantasy,
that
you
look."
say.
And he convinced me to revisit it and turn it into a series. And so I had to rewrite the whole thing.
Thanks,
Because when
John.
you write a thing for yourself, it's not necessarily, okay, I'm planning to turn this into something.
Yeah. It's
And if it was going to be the first book in a series, I had to have character arcs that were going to grow and storylines that were going to get more complex. And you can't just throw all of that into the first book like I did.
absolutely. So urban fantasy. So one of the things I really like about urban fantasy, in all of the urban fantasy that I've read, is how the author takes our real world mythology and religions and stuff, and subtly changes things or has them interact in their own little ways in the books. So I guess, without any kind of spoilers, because I don't want to spoil anything for anybody, but is there anything you could tell us about any kind of interactions with, real world mythology? For instance, in like, there's a series that I really like by author Kevin Hearn called the Iron Druid Chronicles, where all of religions exist, and the characters within those mythologies. So there's some really interesting scenes with Jupiter, the god Jupiter, speaking to Zeus. So, is there anything? I guess my question is how do you incorporate the real world mythologies, traditions, religions, and stuff like that, the supernatural of our world, into your story?
Well, I'm not doing so much with religion. Again, my background is politics, and I really wanted to play with a system of haves and have-nots.
Yeah.
But my world is of the Fae,
Ooh.
fairy worlds, and the my main character is a bartender who is half human, half fairy,
Okay.
uh, and has the job of maintaining the gate between the worlds. But she is a little bit disadvantaged because she has no actual powers.
Okay.
She has no magic that works outside of herself. So she's definitely one of the have-nots when it comes to magical powers. And so what I wanted to play with is using magic haves and have-nots. Who has the most powerful magic? How do they use that to have political power over others? And put it all in bars and companies around Atlanta.
Oh, that's cool. So that's the
And
setting
it's
is
been fun.
Atlanta.
It is. It's a bar on the Chattahoochee.
That's cool. Is it like what's the time of the? Is it like
It's modern day.
modern? So like like mid late 2000s, like now, or
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out how exactly to incorporate COVID into that
that was
because,
going to
like,
be
I
my
don't know
next.
if you can ignore the fact that COVID happened because us writers, we would like to ignore that.
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people would. I mean, I know I would too.
That puts
It's
it in an alternate history.
yeah.
It's the mid 2000s where COVID never happened, and we don't have to worry about everyone putting on masks.
Or
Or maybe the Fae are immune.
yeah, there
I
you
don't
go.
know.
It's that it's a tough thing, you think about like I could play with this in an interesting way. We could use it in the story, but at the same time, people are reading the books as an escape. Do I want to put that in and remind people? I can. That must be a lot of juggling to try to figure that out, and I don't envy you, but I can't wait to see what you come up with.
Yeah,
Uh,
I don't know if I want to think about COVID when I'm writing. It's that was my escape, and I
I
don't
don't
want to
blame you.
incorporate it.
No, I don't blame you at all. I don't blame you at all. So the Fae, I also really love the Fae. My wife and I have fairies all over our house, and we have the Queen's Mab and Titania come out during the summer, during the winter and summer solstice. They come out, rise to power. We have little statues. It's a fun little thing that we do.
Oh, fun.
So, how do again? Unless you can't say, I don't want to spoil anything. But how do you play with the Fae? Is there inter-Fae politics too, like within the Fae,
Yes.
is winter court, summer court type stuff, or
Oh, it's so that's the fun where we get into this because the winter and summer courts have very different views on interactions with the humans. Basically, the Fae lived in fairy
yeah,
for the eternal realm, as they call it.
okay,
Whereas they nicely call it the iron realm now, but that's after we discovered iron. Before that, it was the realm of rot. So.
okay,
Uh, but the summer court believe in interacting with the humans almost as equals, not necessarily unveiling all their secrets to them, but intermarrying, having interactions with the humans, living in the Iron Realm almost full time, because they're more powerful over here. They've got magic and we don't.
yeah,
Whereas the Winter Realms, they kind of keep to themselves. So they've got a whole bunch of inter interpolitical conflict between the summer and winter courts, and they'll use each other as they please. But I loved developing a history of where that came from, starting with Mab, the
yeah.
first fairy queen, and then her daughter Maeve,
Mm.
who brought us over into the realm of rot. Uh, and the reasons for that I'll be revealing in future books.
Yeah, yeah.
But then separating the two again with their daughter, with Maeve's daughter Noor.
All right.
who drew firm lines between the realms of fairy and the human realms.
Yeah.
And I'm having a lot of fun dealing with that history and the political implications of that thousands of years later, and how that plays into my characters, especially with a half human, half fairy.
Now that's really awesome. See, that's that right there. That's what always gets me for urban fantasy is, like because the Fae and stuff are, real world mythology, the Celts and the Scots, but, that was their essentially their religion, the way they believed in that stuff. And I love to see that's the how authors twist and put it into their world, and I'm looking forward. I can't wait to see it. That sounds really cool.
Having so much fun. You have to figure out where the mythology serves the character and how the character is shaped by the mythology. But then it's just fun to create little world Bibles that no one will read. Again, like my physics of my space opera.
I will. I
I'll
would
have
read it
an
if I could.
entire Bible for this book by the end of it.
That's really cool. Oh man. All right. So we talked about your work. Do you have any kind of so how about just the writing process in general? So like when I was doing research for questions for authors, because I was trying to really get away from the stock oh, you write what is blah 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 interview questions for authors, but I did see some really interesting things that I'm probably sure that a lot of people get asked, but I'm curious about is like do you have any weird quirks when you write? Do you have to have a specific drink, or do you play music or no music, no sound at all, stuff like that? Because like I read there was an author, I think it might have been Dan Brown, who like to cure his writer's block he would hang upside down, or Hemingway used
That?
to yeah, I know, well, I mean some, but what was it, Hemingway used to he couldn't write sitting, so he would always stand when he wrote. So just is there anything like that it's like you have to make your space to get you in your headspace for writing, or are you just like you could do
I would
whatever?
love to have the luxury of having to
Well, with
have a
kids, yeah.
ritual.
Yeah.
I've got a 3-year-old and a 7-year-old. I write any way I can, anywhere I can.
Adaptable.
Uh, yes,
Yeah.
I've got my laptop and I will go uh, to a restaurant and sit out on the patio and ignore everyone. I will work at the kitchen table. I have 2 desks in my office, but when my husband's working, I don't have access to that. So
Yeah.
might be at the standing treadmill desk. I might be sitting down at a
That's
desk.
awesome. Get a little
I might be
exercise
writing on
in.
my phone. Uh,
Oh, that's oh no, yeah. I mean, like, it's so cool how much technology has made doing creative things like writing and being able to do stuff like this. Like in the past, I wouldn't have been able to interview like this. We're across the country from each other.
I know, I'm all the way in Seattle.
Yeah, it's that's really cool though, and getting a little exercise in when you work out's always nice. So, I mean, getting a little
10,000
exercise. That's not what I
steps.
said. Getting
I got
exercise in when
10,000
you
steps
write.
after midnight last night, finishing up a chapter.
That's awesome.
Sometimes getting up and moving is exactly what you need, and
Get the blood
sometimes,
flowing.
oh, I love taking a hot bath
There you go.
and just having my notebook to get my juices flowing and get an idea in my head and then coming out and writing.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I love like the water to just be like this close to scalding when if I
Yeah,
take a
if you're
bath or
not,
a shower.
if you don't look like a lobster after you come out, you're doing it wrong.
Exactly. I am of that opinion as well. All right. So you're saying that you're living in Seattle now, but were you a local in Atlanta? Because I know a lot of our authors are local Atlanta authors, and if you're friends with Hartness, I would imagine probably nearby, right?
I'm actually one of the original native Atlantans.
Ooh,
My family goes back there 6 generations. Like
that's pretty cool.
it's yeah, I can just my grandmother and my mother went to the same high school, North Fulton High School.
Damn,
I was born at the same hospital that my son was born at, that my mother was born at, that my father was born at,
that's
that my husband
awesome.
was born at.
That's pretty cool.
So
So
it's
then
obviously the baby factory.
so then it must be like great to be able to come back and see friends and stuff like that
Oh,
that
I
you
can't
probably haven't
wait.
seen. Is I mean I'm sure you get to interact with them on social media, but it's probably going to be great to see them.
Oh, I can't wait. My best friend, Sarah Sover, is there, and she's actually releasing a book
Yay! I
at
love Sara too.
JordanCon,
She's great.
and it is also kind of urban fantasy dealing with the fairy god murder.
Oh, that's.
Uh,
I did see that going around, so I'm excited for that.
Oh, it's brilliant. It's about a fairy godmother who loses her first charge, her first princess, to a serial killer, and she has to hunt him down in her Doc Martens, and it is this gorgeous dark noir. And she actually has a challenge up with Richard Fife, who is
Oh,
also releasing a book, a gas lamp fantasy. And oh my goodness, they have the best little war going on social media.
that's great.
They're releasing videos and have a competition to see who can sell the most hardcovers.
I did see that going around. So are you team Sara or team Richard?
Oh, I'm Team Sara all the way.
Me too. I have to do something fun for her video when we do it. Maybe we'll
She
record a
got me to
separate one
sign
or
up for
something.
TikTok. I don't know anything about editing video, but I'm going to learn for her, and I'll buy Richard's book after the contest is over.
There you go. That's see, because I want to support Richard too, but I gotta be. I feel like I just gotta be Team Sara. Her hair is just so much better than Richard's. That's what I'm gonna say, so that so that I can have a completely unrelated reason to as the reason why I'm Team Sara.
Well, we're Sarah's, so we're
Oh yeah, there you go.
naturally
There is
superior.
actually a couple of Saras coming this year. I think there's another one too. I think
There
we have
is
three.
Sarah
Yeah,
Madsen is
yeah,
going to be there as well.
three Saras. There was almost like
And we all
five.
write for Falstaff too now,
He's collecting Saras. There's a conspiracy here somewhere.
setting up an army of Sarahs, and I would watch out. Just don't get on our bad side.
I promise. I'll try not to at least. Oh man, that's great. So the way I've been ending these interviews is with a series of questions that. So there was a show I watched as a kid with my mom that was called Inside the Actor Studio, and James
Oh, so
Lipton.
good.
Yeah, I love. Oh man, he's got some great interviews there. Like I can
And
go
you can
on all
just
day.
listen to him read the phone book. Oh, his voice.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, absolutely. I'll go off on tangents all day, but there was one specific one that he did with Anthony Hopkins that was amazing. He asks him to do Hannibal Lecter. He's like, "Can you just give me a little Hannibal Lecter?" And Anthony Hopkins is a genius, but like from 1 second to the next second, he's Hannibal Lecter, and he doesn't do anything. But like, I felt legitimate terror. Like this man, it was just amazing, amazing. Anyway,
So gifted.
so at the end of those interviews that James Lipton would do, the late great James Lipton, he would ask a series of questions, and they were all the same questions that he would ask every actor. But I've pared them down a little bit because there was quite a few more, but I pared them down to just a few because I don't know. I thought it was fun to do with everybody, a way to tie them all together. So without any more preamble, the first question is, what is your favorite word?
No. It might be because I wake up every morning with we don't talk about Bruno. No, no. Every damn morning. But it's also becoming a little bit of a mantra of I don't have to say yes to everything. I can be picky and choose and say no sometimes. And no is a full sentence.
Yeah, you know what? That's absolutely right. It is a full sentence, and that's a good mindset to remind yourself. You know, no is acceptable, and if you feel it, you should say it to whatever the situation is.
Absolutely.
I do love. We don't talk about Bruno. Encanto was like it's amazing.
It's in my head right now.
Yeah,
It's
Lin Manuel Miranda is a genius, and I love him. All right, so the next one is, what is your least favorite word?
no.
That's a juxtaposition there.
I hate hearing no too.
Okay, so it's your favorite word to say, but it's your least
Yes.
favorite word to hear. Okay, all right, I get, yeah, all right, okay, all right, I can see it.
Who doesn't hate dealing with rejection and being told, no,
Fair.
no, I'm sorry, you're not good enough, or no, that's not going to work for us, or
Okay, that's a specific no, so that makes sense too. That's a specific kind of no. Yeah, no, I could see that. All right, so what is the first thing that you notice about another person?
ooh, pretty much their eye contact.
Okay,
Whether it's with me or with other people or where their attention is going. I like to see what people are interacting with,
all right.
and where they are in a social situation.
Yeah. Body language like that can tell a lot about a person. It doesn't have to necessarily be negative or positive depending on what's happening, but you get that feeling, you could tell. I agree. Yeah,
I'm
no,
really
absolutely.
impressed by people who, when they start talking, they close their eyes. Like when they're in the middle of talking to you, they'll hold your eye contact and then they start saying something and then they just close their eyes. And I've noticed it with certain people that very intelligent and then they just close their eyes and I don't know if they notice they're doing it. And it's fascinating to me to notice the people that do that.
And I don't know if I do that.
You're gonna be so aware of it
Yeah,
now.
yeah. I'm gonna be watching it for everybody now. That's interesting. Okay. If you had the ability to do like another profession other than writing, or if you've had your day job or whatever, what would be another profession that you would have or would like to attempt if you had all the time in the world?
Oh God. Well, I am terrible at holding down a 9 to 5. I did it once in my entire career, and I've had a lot of different jobs, and I cannot do 9 to 5
Yeah,
desk job.
me either.
So something flexible, sales. I enjoyed.
I could see
I
that.
enjoyed working in politics too.
Yeah.
I worked as a little bit of a consultant and a campaign manager, and just working with people and getting messages out and communicating with people I really enjoyed.
Yeah. I mean,
Just
I
as
could
long as I can do it on my own time.
fair. I could see that as being an extrovert. Communication would be, that could be a desirable profession to get into, whatever the means of communication. Yeah, I know. And then my favorite one so far, the last one is, what is your favorite curse word?
Oh, it has to be fuck.
It's such a diverse word.
Oh, it's so fricative and it's hard at the end and
Yep.
it just expresses so much and it's so versatile.
Ah,
Throwing it in the middle of a word, abso-fucking-lutely. It's just
yep.
like
Pasa
just
fucking Tivly.
the feel of it in your mouth. It's
Yep.
just it's assertive.
Could be an
And I like that.
adjective, an adverb, a noun, a
A verb.
verb. Yeah, all kinds of stuff. That's great. Well, thank you so much for coming and hanging out with me. And
Thank you.
if you're interested, you can go and find her cocktail pairing and book reviews, plus all of her past and upcoming projects over at saratbond.com. And I'm sure we'll link that in and around this video as well.
Oh, and I'm so excited to see everyone in person in April.
Yep, and we'll see you at JordanCon. Bye.
Bye.